Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over the top 25 running back rankings for week 10 of the fantasy football season to help you win all your matchups, hopefully. Before we do start, I want to say there's a couple teams on bye. Bengals, Patriots, Jets, and Ravens, so keep that in mind. None of those running backs will be on this list. And also, before we do get into it, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button and subscribing to the channel if you're new, which you probably are. This is a brand new channel. Anyways, we are going to get into it, starting off with Christian McCaffrey. But before we do that, I want to say quickly, Rams running backs, Commanders running backs, Kansas City Chiefs running backs, Chicago Bears running backs, and the Buffalo Bills running backs are all not going to be on this list. I do not want anything to do with any of them until we get some consistency. A lot of these people aren't producing on a consistent basis, so they're not on this list. Like I said, though, back to number one in an S tier, Christian McCaffrey against the Los Angeles Chargers. Looked like a stud in his first full game, almost 40 PPR fantasy points, insane target threat every single game, and he has RB1 potential every single week. Must start, obviously. On to number two, here we have Austin Eckler against the 49ers in that same matchup. Again, insane amount of targets. The whole offense runs through Eckler. He's a touchdown machine. You're starting him every single week. On to number three, we have Saquon Barkley going up against the Houston Texans. Once again, Barkley runs this offense. The offense runs around Barkley. All right, if he has a good game, most likely the offense is having a good game. If he has a bad game, most likely they're struggling on offense. He has that big play potential, and he's a must start every single week. I don't really have to touch on this one too much more. Number four, and a tier lower this week because of the matchup, Derrick Henry going against the Denver Broncos. He's had two great games in a row now, but I expect a little bit of a regress in this game. It's a tough matchup, like I said. I expect a low-scoring game. But Derrick Henry's got to be in your starting lineup regardless. He's a absolute tank, absolute monster. You know, you got to love what you're seeing so far out of Derrick Henry, but just lower expectations a tad in this matchup. Next up, we have Nick Chubb coming in at number 5 against the Miami Dolphins. Now, Chubb is an absolute beast on the ground. We've known this for a long time now. His fantasy value isn't as high as the others like McCaffrey and Eckler, only because he doesn't receive the same amount of targets through the air that those other guys do, especially in those PPR formats. If you have him in a standard scoring format, you're loving Nick Chubb. All right, he would be even higher on my list, but for PPR, he's a little bit lower. I expect this to be a high-scoring matchup against the Dolphins. They've been putting up a ton of points. Cleveland has one of the best rushing offenses in the league. I like to play here. Coming in at number 6, this guy was a stud last week. Travis Etienne going up against the Kansas City Chiefs here. He's the center of this offense. We saw last week that it revolves around him. He got 20 plus carries. Again, should get a lot of targets here. I'm expecting the Jaguars to get blown out. I'm expecting a high scoring game here. Etienne should have about 5-6 targets in this matchup. I expect the Jaguars to be playing from behind. I mean, the Chiefs just last week against the Titans had a low scoring matchup, very uncharacteristic of the Chiefs. I expect a shootout in this one. Coming in at number 7 and a tier lower here, Alvin Kamara. I love Kamara. I have him on a couple of my teams. He's playing against Pittsburgh this coming week, but it's an inconsistent offense. You saw it on Monday night. He did not get a lot of points because they could not move the ball on offense, and that's what really scares me here. He is an elite pass catcher, so I would always have him in your lineup. Needs the volume to produce, though. Like, he didn't get a lot of carries last week, didn't get a lot of targets. We need that volume to see Kamara get those points, obviously. I expect this one to be another low-scoring affair. Two offenses that really can't move the ball and two defenses that are underrated, in my opinion. That's why we have them in B tier and not up in A. Coming in at number 8 here, we have Josh Jacobs going against the Indianapolis Colts. It's a tough matchup right here. I'm not going to lie. In two struggling offenses at the moment, Jacobs has been coming back down to earth as of late, like the past 2 games. After he dropped those 3 straight 30-point fantasy games, you expect a little bit of a regress. This matchup's pretty tough, but you got to be starting Jacobs in all your leagues. Next up is Kenneth Walker at number 9 going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Walker has proven week in and week out that he is the workhorse of this offense and this backfield. He's not really contested in the backfield whatsoever. DJ Dallas barely seeing any snaps here. Walker's had 20 plus carries in the past couple of weeks. I mean, he's expected to get you 20 plus carries if they lead in this game or if this game is even close. He's been running super hard, super fast acceleration. I'm pretty sure he's top 3 acceleration in the league. So you're loving what you're seeing out of Kenneth Walker. He's looking like a league winner. I do expect this matchup to be a little sloppy. It's in Germany, so I don't know how these guys are going to fare that early, but we'll have to see how it plays out. I still am playing Kenneth Walker in all my leagues if you guys have him. Next up, last in beats here. Last week, I'm giving it to him. Jonathan Taylor. All right. The offense has been really bad as of late, but this is a good matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. He should see a lot of touches if he's healthy. That's what you got to watch out for. Is he going to be healthy? And can this offense get back on track? Last week against the Patriots, I know Jonathan Taylor didn't play, but that was an awful game to watch. Absolutely horrendous. This is going to be the best matchup he will get, the best chance he will get to produce for the rest of the season. So let's hope he takes advantage of it. All right, dropping down another tier here. We have Dalvin Cook going against the Buffalo Bills. Now, this is a terrible matchup for Dalvin Cook. I can't lie to you, but it's Dalvin Cook. You probably drafted him pretty early, and he's probably your running back 1, if not running back 2 on your team. He isn't showing massive play upside, which is kind of concerning to me. He is getting older, so you kind of expected that a little bit, but luckily, they're going against the Bills, which should be a high-scoring game. I don't know if Josh Allen is going to play. I've heard rumors that Josh Allen might need surgery. That would be really bad for this game, because I feel like if not, it's going to be a low scoring game between the two. If Allen plays, it will be high scoring, more potential for Cook, but overall, don't love the matchup, but it is what it is. Coming in at number 12 here, we have Dameon Pierce against the New York Giants. Another ugly matchup for Pierce. I don't love it at all, but I am very impressed with how hard Pierce runs. Very impressed with Thursday night against the Eagles, tearing him up, 139 yards, but he did not get any targets. That's very concerning to me. We need the target share out of the backfield for Dameon Pierce to be the elite level running back in your lineup. So we got to take a look at that, and hopefully this game he gets a little more targets. Coming in at number 13 here, we have Cordero Patterson going up against a struggling Panthers defense. Look at what Joe Mixon just did to this Panthers defense. I don't think they're going to allow that many points to Cordero Patterson, but he should be able to find the end zone in this game. Cordero has something to prove. Coming off injury, he's getting a little older. I believe he's 31 years old. He needs these good games back-to-back-to-back weeks in order to prove himself as still an elite level running back in this league. I think he does so in this matchup. This is a run-heavy offense all day of the week, every single Sunday. These guys are running the ball way more than they're passing. That's why Kyle Pitts, Drake London are basically irrelevant in this offense. So I expect Patterson to get a lot of this workload as the RB1 in this offense. Next up, dropping down another tier here at number 14, we have Miles Sanders going against the Washington Commanders. This is a great O-line. Obviously, the Eagles are playing very well, and Miles Sanders is getting consistent points on a week in, week out basis, which you'd like to see. I expect this to be low scoring, though. It's a divisional game. Usually, these games aren't shootouts, especially with the Commanders, who don't have a bad defense at all. I feel like the Eagles will need to rely on the run in this game, maybe even a bit more than normal. So we'll see how it plays out, but I don't mind the matchup against the Commanders here. Coming in at number 15, might be a little bit of a surprise here, but he has a great matchup, Jeff Wilson Jr. And I know you're like, whoa, Raheem Mostert might get a little action here. I'm not so sure about that. I think Jeff Wilson Jr. will take this job. I don't know if it's going to be this week. I hope it's going to be this week for anybody who has Jeff Wilson and has to start him this week, but I would definitely monitor his carries against the Browns this week compared to Mostert's. I think he gets in the end zone in this one. Cleveland has a bad running defense, so I wouldn't mind starting Jeff Wilson Jr. this week. Next up, we have Donta Foreman going against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, this is a premium spot here against a bad Atlanta defense. Expecting a bounce back game for the Carolina Panthers. It can't get worse than last week for the running backs, at least. It really can't. Foreman had a terrible game. I know Hubbard wasn't even playing, but Foreman just had a awful game. He's going to have to carry this offense. He has a very easy schedule moving forward, but in this game especially, still an easy matchup. I like it for him. I like the spot, like I said. This offense is very inconsistent, though. You have to keep an eye out for that. If we see weeks where he gets 3 points and then he gets 30 and then he gets 3 and then he gets 10 and then he gets 3, like, we're not loving that at all. So that's something to monitor going forward. He might be in one of my buy low videos coming up here, so keep an eye out, though. Coming in at number 17, we have James Conner going against the Los Angeles Rams. Conner actually looked pretty good last week. I know the game script didn't really favor him because the Cardinals couldn't score any points last week. I think they only had 14 total points. Coming off an injury, he should have a good game here against a struggling Rams defense. I don't know about how high scoring this matchup will be. The Cardinals have been struggling. Rams have been struggling on offense. But if the Cardinals do get in front, which they should be able to, I expect them to run the ball a lot. This team loves to run, so Connor should benefit a lot from that. Coming up next is DeAndre Swift and then Jamal Williams back-to-back. Jamal Williams and then 19, let's do DeAndre Swift. Jamal Williams here should be a good spot against a bad running defense in Chicago. Defense is giving up a ton of points. I don't know about how high scoring this matchup will be. I feel like Chicago has to clamp down eventually. And also, Detroit can't score any points. So it's either going to go one way or another, shootout or low scoring game. It's not going to be in the middle. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be one or the other. As for DeAndre Swift, not loving what I'm seeing out of him. I know he's not 100% healthy. I've said this, for the last week and a half. But he needs to get back to 100% before I can confidently start him in my lineup. And he also needs to reclaim some of that work in the red zone because it's all being taken by Williams. So I'm not feeling very confident about either of these guys. If Swift were to miss time or Williams were to miss time, I'd be much more confident in one of these guys to produce. But as of right now, not loving it. On to number 20, we have Tony Pollard, and then 21 is going to be Zeke. Now, Zeke did not practice on Monday, so I don't know if he's going to play or not. If he does not play, Tony Pollard has to be in all your lineups starting. I'm telling you right now, Pollard is great as a starting running back. Jerry Jones just wants to ride Zeke into the ground, though. They're playing the Green Bay Packers here. If he comes back, I don't love the matchup for either of these guys. If Zeke is going to play, I don't love it. Should be a low-scoring game here. Packers are struggling. They need a defense to step up. They have no options on offense for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. And Zeke really lacks big play upside, whereas Pollard, like I said, if he's the starter, he has that big play potential that you like to see. But as long as Zeke is in the conversation or might start, I'm not loving either of these guys in this matchup. Next up, we have Aaron Jones against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, we don't really know the extent of Aaron Jones' ankle injury that he suffered last week. They said he should be able to play, but what exactly does that mean? How many snaps is he going to play? I don't love the matchup at all. It's actually a very bad matchup against a Dallas defense that's been playing really good this year. Should be a low-scoring game, like I just said, with Zeke and Pollard. Same situation here. If he's not 100% healthy, which I don't even know if we're going to know that, I'm probably laying off Aaron Jones this week. I don't think he has a good game. I think A.J. Dillon probably outsnaps him in this one and has a couple more points in this game. Number 23 here, we have Leonard Fournette, who has been struggling big time as of late, going against the Seattle Seahawks. Fournette's another guy that lacks that big play upside. He hasn't broken any long runs recently or anything like that. Rachaad White is also eating into his carries a lot. He almost had the exact same amount of snaps as him last week, which is very concerning. This is going to be an ugly game. Like I said, I'm expecting an ugly game in Germany. We'll see how that goes. The Seattle defense is also pretty good, so I'm not the biggest fan of this one. Next up, coming in at number 24 is going to be Najee Harris against the New Orleans Saints. Now, this offense has proven week in and week out to be horrible. I'm not going to lie to you. They cannot score a lot of points, which is very concerning. Najee's shown very bad vision, and also the only real thing that's saving him from having a horrible, horrible year is his target share out of the backfield and his volume on the ground. If he didn't have either of those, he would just not be startable at all. It's not a good matchup against the Saints. I expect a low scoring game, like I said earlier, so I'd be laying off Najee here unless you have to play him. I think he has a couple good weeks coming up. I don't think this is the one. I'm not going to lie. Coming in at number 25, it's going to be Kareem Hunt against the Miami Dolphins. Decent matchup. I think it's going to be high scoring, like I was saying earlier when we were talking about Nick Chubb. I think there's good potential here if they go down early to a Dolphins team that has been playing lights out. They've been playing very good, but their defense has been allowing a lot of points. Pass catching volume. We're looking for that pass catching volume from Kareem Hunt, and then he's a viable option this week. Anyways, guys, let me know if this information helped you down below in the comment section. Drop a like I said earlier, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hope you guys win your Week 10 matchups, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.